Hey guys, thanks for tuning in this week. It's Ryan with DP Marketing.Services and author on the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors. Hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. Thanks for tuning in again. Hey, coming at your video with something that as a marketer we know about. In fact, like when I was working on my undergrad in college, is one of the things that in my marketing classes was a concept that was kind of thrown out there. It's fairly basic from a marketing standpoint, but I know a lot of plumbing and HVAC shops, they don't quite understand this concept because for a lot of you guys, right, you're really good at turning your wrench. You know how to repipe a bathroom, you know how to install a mini split with no time flat. Like that's your world. But when you start getting into things like marketing and KPIs and SEO and SEM, like some of those things get confusing. And so I just want to share with you a video talking about this concept that in marketing we call it the S curve, right? So the S curve is basically like this. So like every business, unless you're crazy, you want to know that the marketing you're doing for your plumbing or HVAC shop is the most effective it can be, that you're spending your dollars in the right spot, that you have something to show for it, that you're getting an ROI. You want to make sure that you're putting your dollars and investing it where you know it's going to come back. There's a crap ton of ways to waste money on marketing. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but I wanted to at least get an idea in front of you. So here's a graph, right? Right now it's empty. This graph on this axis is going to be like your ROI, like the cash benefit to your business essentially. And this bottom one we'll just call time. So when you do any marketing at all, right? This is true if you do AdWords, if you do a website, if you do radio, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. There comes into play this concept called an S curve, which is essentially when you will be spending money for a little bit before you start noticing the benefit of the marketing coming back to you, right? So it's every channel's different, right? If you're doing billboard, it's different than if you're doing Google local services, but the concept is still the same, which is you start spending money to make money, and then eventually it starts tapering off, right? Eventually, when you start spending more money, it doesn't really get more effective. At some point, you could spend $100,000 a month on AdWords, and you're really not getting more leads. You're not really getting more efficient. It starts diminishing in its returns. And this is true for all marketing, right? But in this early stage, it can be frustrating as crap because you're like, bro, I'm spending money. I'm not getting anything to show for it. I'm not seeing a boost in revenue. I'm spending money on these billboards. I'm not seeing any impact. I'm spending money on these radio ads. No one's remembering my jingle. I'm spending money on SEO. I'm not seeing anything. And it doesn't matter what the channel is. This S curve is going to be around, right? It might be a very long S curve. It might be a very short S curve, but the S curve will always exist. And then the idea is the more you do something, at some point it starts diminishing. The trick for a lot of guys is they start getting here, like they're spin, and then they go, I need to stop spending. Like I can't keep doing this. And the pain is real. The problem is you've quit before the S curve actually can begin working for you. And so maybe you're doing something like SEO, which if you've watched our channel, we tell you Google's time frame. It takes between 4 and 12 months minimum to start noticing the SEO work come back. So if you're like, man, I'm 3 months in and you decide to quit, you are totally missing out on the reason that you're doing the SEO to begin with, right? You're getting out before the S curve starts. Maybe you're doing billboard. Maybe you're like, hey, we're going to focus on a brand, get a new logo, get a new wrap. And you start as soon as you get the artwork from whoever does your wrap. You're missing the whole point. This is not something that you just spend $1 to make $5. You're building this whole curve, right? The trick is, if you think this through, all marketing at some point is going to start having diminishing returns. It doesn't matter what your mix is, it's all going to do that. So what smart companies do is not just do this. They stack up their S curves to be something like this. So now instead of it being this one thing that dies off, as soon as it starts tapering off, they've got another one that's starting to ramp up. Now here's the problem with this, right? As one is starting to lose efficiency, one is extremely inefficient. So your cash flow might go a little bit negative in this as it relates to the marketing, but eventually your S curve picks up and you start stacking these S curves on top of each other. this is what the smart companies do. And this is true not just for plumbing and HVAC shops, right? But this is like Amazon, this is Target. These are the massive companies are finding ways to stack their S curves on top of each other. It's not a straight line. It's not a put $1 in, get $5 out. It's not super transactional that way, but it's helping you understand that the work you're doing has an outcome. You just have to recognize it's going to take time. There's no way around it. But this S curve, I feel like is super helpful to think about as a marketer. We can spend a lot of time working on dialing in PPC, dialing in PPC, dialing in PPC. And at some point, like we're just kind of stuck here. But once we see all that work come back, that's when we're going to find the maximum ROI. That's when you're going to find the maximum success. So this S curve is really something we like to think about. So I just wanted to hear from you. I know this is a little bit academic, but I know a lot of guys struggle with kind of the long-term nature of marketing and how that works. And it's not always a really fast return. It's a return, but you just have to make sure you know what to expect. But I'd like to hear from you. What are you doing to measure marketing? How do you kind of measure your S curves and stack them? I'd like to hear what you're up to. So as always, guys, leave a comment below, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe.